what are the issues that are important to you that you don't think elected officials are touching on? What are the issues that are important to you that you don't think all these other organizations are touching on and discussing? And so I think that's like one of the things that I think that's one of the things that's missing when it comes to active organizing from a partisan party level or just from a nonprofit level. Just really asking people, like, what's the issues that are of great concern? And then first off, having a year long organizing plan. If we're going to speak from a partisan, if we're going to speak from a partisan level and speak from a level of what's the greatest concern or greatest issue with the FDP. The FDP don't have no organizing plan past these elections, and in most cases, they don't have no organizing plan during the elections. So it's like, once the election is over with, how are you still going to stay engaged with these people that you want them to immediately go back out the next quote unquote huge election and vote for y'all again? Like, how are you going to stay engaged? How are you going to stay engaged with them? Um, that's why one of our core values at Black Voters Matter, that is a great core value that I feel like we live, that everybody should live upon, is just Black Voters Matter 365. Like, we gotta stop with the whole, hey, so the midterms are over, let's chill out. Um, oh, it's September, October of 2023. Now let's start having the discussion of how we're gonna galvanize people for 2024. Mm-mm. That discussion should have been had 2 weeks after the midterm. Like, let's take a breather, and then let's circle back and have this discussion, and then let's actually act on being involved in the communities, and being involved in the communities not just for the sake of having another voter registration file. Because we the same people in our communities look in our face every day, and they're like, oh, here come this person again about to hand us a voter registration form to ask us to register to vote, when you've done this already like 2 days. Like, you did this already 2 days ago. You did this already a week ago. Like, we already registered to vote. But when are we going to start offering people the services that are available in our communities that most people don't actually know about? That's one of the reasons as to why Black Voters Matter prides ourselves on being an organization that looks for the people that's already doing the work on the ground and putting resources into their work. It doesn't make sense for us. So it doesn't make sense for us as Black Voters Matter to come into a community or come into a state and be like, hey, so we're gonna get a bunch of members, and we're probably essentially taking members from already existing organizations, when it makes a whole lot more sense for us to come in, and if we have many grants available, or if we know where people can get granting from, that's a fledgling nonprofit or fledgling C3, or even somebody that has an organization that doesn't even have a C3, or that person that enjoys this type of work but doesn't know the steps that it needs to be taken in order for them to get an organization. Like, we have all of these resources available for people, and the issue with us is the same issue that Equal Ground is running into, or Florida Rising is running into, or Florida for All is running into, or Dream Defenders is running into. Nobody wants to put any real money into this state anymore because they feel like the state is a lost cause, when if you properly invested into the organizations within this state, and then the party got off their ass and decided that they wanted to invest in a solid ground game, and a solid ground game and a solid communications game in the state could possibly turn right back around again from to that 2008 and 2012 prominence, which I was living in the state during that time. I actually moved here in 1995 and moved into a small little town that everybody knows for spring break, Panama City, Florida. Which is why I'm always very adamant about, y'all gotta go talk to the people in rural areas, because we're there. Like we're actually there. Um, but you gotta come talk to us, not just during election time, or not just during the important elections. Because I still have yet to see anybody from the party set foot into Jacksonville to talk to people during what's considered one of the most important municipal elections in this state. Um, and and one last thing, for the people that's always bringing up, well, how come Florida can't do the same thing that Georgia did? Georgia was a 22-year process. Georgia was literally a 22-year process. Um, ask anybody, that's actively doing work, organizing work in Georgia. Ask in St. Louis. Ask my bosses, Cliff Albright and Latasha Brown. Ask them. That's a 22 year process for them to get to what happened in 2020 and to get to what happened last year.